to have absolutely clarity and alignment with your personal brand messaging and align with your business offer, personal branding. Second, conversion content. I know a lot of people don't really understand this term, but let me break it into very simple, understandable like baby terms, right? But it's strategic, intentional content that truly builds demand for your business.
I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that will reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. We're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life. We want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. Today we have Salina Yeung, the founder of In Academy, who quit her job at the peak of her career during the pandemic and started a new journey. Join us as she shares her story of how she built a successful business by helping small business owners and entrepreneurs build their online presence and personal brand on LinkedIn. Discover the power of creating a powerful personal brand and how it can help you win clients and differentiate yourself from your competitors. I get to talk to my good friend, Salina Yeung. I didn't ask her how to pronounce her name, but I hope I got it wrong. What do you think, Salina?
I think you got it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Salina, for coming on to the podcast. We have a really dear mutual friend who has the same name as me, but we pronounce it a little differently, Junaid Iqbal. He was also a guest on the podcast. He's a dear friend, and we've known each other for some time now. Thank you so much, man. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Let's walk through memory lane and share your origin story. How did you get started in this beautiful world, and how did LinkedIn attract you? Where's the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. I also are so grateful for Janai connecting both of us, because he told me so much amazing things about you and the company, like the things that you did. So I'm grateful. And thank you so much for having me at your podcast show today.
Absolutely.
Sorry. So a little bit about me. I am born and raised in Hong Kong originally, and my story is a little bit long, but let me try to keep it short when it comes to like my entrepreneur founder story. So in 2020, which COVID hit, and I am an account director at LinkedIn Marketing Solution. Love the work. I've been in corporate America for a time now. And I was like at the peak of my career. And then COVID hit, and I have this like long distance relationship with my family, especially with my husband for 5 years by that time. And it is get to the point where it's get it to be challenging. Both of us really want to prioritize our own career. We're really successful in our own career journey. And COVID hit. We used to basically meet in the middle of the world, like Dubai or somewhere, which is really cool, just travel together, having a really good time. And then I realized the priorities of my life had to shift. And COVID actually gave me that aha moment. So I did it, quit pretty quickly after making the decision. Everybody around me, my friends, my mom especially, told me I'm crazy. And I know I am. And I quit in the middle of COVID. So people was like, why don't you just like ride it all, like the wave,
Mm,
so just to basically get some money saving before
yeah.
doing this like big jump. So I did it. And then I quit. And then next day I was already like struggling a little bit, like thinking, oh my gosh, this is like the most stupidest decision ever. I have 1 month notice, so I have 1 month like income play around. And I
Mm,
quit and then immediately just fly over and just like spend it with my family. And I started off actually finding jobs. So I wanted to go to Microsoft and I did a couple of interviews, but something is off. Like in the middle of COVID, I was like, I don't know whether I want to continue doing that. And I need to
yeah.
start, not in the beginning, but build that momentum at least 2 or 3 years. The team, like how I built my team, how to basically do everything. And I started to look at and reflecting on what I really want in my life. And funnily, I was just like starting to write blogs and sharing how can you use LinkedIn really well.
Hmm.
It's just starting off like that. And I'm not even expecting anything. And then start also putting some sort of content on LinkedIn, but not consistent. And it's just again helping people how to basically use LinkedIn better.
Yeah.
And that's how the whole thing started. And the platform blew up in a really good way. My old clients messaged me and we still laugh about it until today because I was literally Googling my clients. Rico was saying like, oh, Salina, can you come and train my team, sales and marketing team, how to use LinkedIn and push down a CPC for LinkedIn advertising? And I was like, okay, I can do that. And then the next thing I was like Googling, what is the speaker engagement rate when it comes to that? And then that's how I have my first gig and everything just come rolling. That's how the In Academy started.
Wow, that's really cool and inspiring because you had to make that decision and burn the bridges to say, hey, enough is enough. I love what I did here, but I want to go a different direction. Yes, we are all locked down, but when you mentioned ride this wave out, guess what? You literally did that. You left the beach and you rode the wave to the new place that you're in and created that new opportunities for yourself.
And absolutely. And I thought I was in a desert island.
Mhm.
Actually, it's the best island I could ever be. And that's why I meet amazing people like you,
Yeah.
Janelle, like all the good folks on LinkedIn. And
Mhm.
I see a totally new world, which I'm very surprised as well. Yeah.
One thing that you did that a lot of people struggle or contemplate of doing is you started sharing from your experience and giving it back to the world. And when you're doing that, you're literally exposing, not just exposing, but you're sharing and showing up in people's lives like, oh my God, Selena's gone through the journey. She's sharing what's possible, how you can use LinkedIn for your own mastery, for your own branding, for your own betterment. And people start seeing that and then they want to reach out because it's it's the act of doing, it's the act of actually putting content out which makes a difference, not just thinking about it, because we can all be sitting at home thinking about, oh, I want to do this, oh, I want to do that, but and it's until you strike the iron while it's hot is when you make the changes.
100%. And that leap of faith, originally, I thought it's the worst idea ever. And now I couldn't be more happier.
I love it. So you founded the In Academy because you saw that smart businesses owners were struggling. And what are some of the struggles that they were facing, and
Yeah.
how what was the solution that you presented to them?
Yeah, absolutely. Funny that you asked this because originally when I started the In Academy, I was thinking to cater to job seeker. And little do I know and do a lot of self-discovery throughout. Nothing wrong about job seekers
Mm,
or search. It's just something doesn't really spark me joy when it
right.
comes to that. Because my background is always sales and marketing. And I
Mm,
realize and then I reflect on it because my very first product, it's catered to what the market needs. I don't realize that it's not something that I wanted to do. So I pivot and then create something that is actually truly representing who I am
yeah.
and also tied back to my origin story, which is I'm so glad you asked, is to build a very powerful personal brand. And because I have that powerful personal brand, my old client messaged me, and that's how I get my first like cash in the bank and start basically like a snowball effect rolling out to it. To me, it's really close to my heart about helping small business owner and entrepreneur to be able to win eyeballs, trust, and clients using the power of LinkedIn. And obviously, I'm biased when it comes to talking about LinkedIn because I'm so passionate about the platform.
Of course. Yeah.
I don't really like building or creating an other platform as much as LinkedIn just because of the organic traffic, the opportunities behind it. And most importantly, is the quality connection on LinkedIn that I can never see in any other platform than
I agree. Yeah.
here.
No, you're so right. And as you're creating and as you're teaching the business owners, and you said, yes, there's nothing wrong with helping job seekers. But the problem with job seekers is that it's not a problem. It's a problem that they're trying to solve themselves is make some money.
Yeah.
We're all in the business here to make some money, to not just make money, but to do while we get to do something that evokes passion and brings all of that out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, those smart business owner that I saw them struggling is to build a powerful online presence. And once I show it to them the way, they're like, oh my gosh, actually, I do know how to do it. They just need a guide, the light and the dark tunnel, and realizing, oh, actually, pressing that post is not as stressful. 100 people wait on you when you press that. It's so much easy when you can just show up online yourself authentically. And that's why I'm creating this like program to support them and holding them every step of the way.
I love that so much. I'm reading this book called Oversubscribed by Daniel Priestley, and he talks about the power of personal brand. And if you look at personal brands, we have Richard Branson, who's got millions of followers, people following him from all over the world. But if you look at the brand that he's created, Virgin Air or Virgin Atlantic, they barely have 100,000, 200,000 subscribers because people like to connect with people.
Absolutely.
They like to see themselves in the mirror. They like to see other people and smile and see that face because it relates. There's a connection there. But when you look at a brand, there's no connection. Sure, I can look at the Amazon logo and see that smile happening, but there's still a lot missing that is filled in when you put the person in the seat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what the category of one idea comes in place, because everyone can be the next Amazon. Everybody can be the next Sarah Blakely. But is Sarah Blakely creating that brand is so true to her original story? That's what that brand so special is, because of your personal brand differentiate everything out from it.
Absolutely. And the more that we show up, the more our friends around us that are people in our network will come back and reach back to us. Be like, hey, wait a minute. I've been connected with this dude for the past year and a half or past 4 or 5 years, and he's doing some really cool things. I have some questions. Let me go talk to them. And that's exactly what started happening with you.
Yeah, 100%. And also that's sometimes people digest information so differently, right? I enjoy visual.
Yeah.
And some people like audio. And because of how we consume content very differently, that's also resonate with different peoples as well. And that's how it helps us to connect with someone when it becomes a storytelling piece.
Yeah.
And I relate to you because of your story, because of how you help other entrepreneur to build an amazing space to host podcast show. I like you said Hollywood style standard type of like production, which I think a lot of people would love that to learn from around this. Yeah,
it's the feeling that it creates, right? Sure, anybody can go spend a ton of money on gear and on shoes, on a car, but it's a feeling that, why did I purchase that? Because it's creating the feeling by owning this Tesla, by owning this Mercedes. It's a feeling. We're all human beings. We all love to feel. 100%. So the studio aspect is all around. How does it make you feel? How does it going to make the person watching you and listening to you feel? to
Yeah.
creating that feeling, creating that human connection.
Yeah. And that's what people love about working with small business, right? Like we are so agile, we're very
Mhm.
flexible and be able to like personalize, yet it's
Yeah.
not like it's a framework that we create for success, which is their transformation that they're looking for,
Mhm.
result that they desire,
Yeah.
but to a container that really works for them as a business owner, as a person in a whole. And that's
Yeah.
why it's so special that I think small business owner can really cut through the noises instead of those like internet giant or like corporates when it comes to
Yeah.
supporting brands to be truly successful.
Exactly. And this is a ton of fun, digging into your past, digging into how you came to create the In Academy and helping businesses, smart business owners building their own online presence, because people, just like we talked earlier, people like to connect with people. And the more stories that we share from our hearts, the much deeper connection we're able to create.
Yeah,
I was going to quote something, but it totally escaped my mind. It's
that's
totally
fine.
fine. Yeah, it's totally fine.
When
But
it come back, you can
we'll come
share.
back. Exactly, when I come back. So what kept you motivated in creating this? You've shared that as well, because now people that are working with you are actually seeing that result happen just from what they learned from you.
My own motivation, how I kept going.
Yeah.
I actually think it's my clients as well as those people connections. Things that get me joy, apart from
Mm,
obviously bringing them result, are that every day, like DMs, people saying, oh my gosh, you cannot believe this. The content that you shared today really resonates so much with me.
yeah.
And then I was almost thinking of giving up, creating content on LinkedIn, as well as building demand for my business. Showing up
Yeah.
was really difficult. And just because of my content, because my lives, because of the blogs or like programs that I put together,
Mm,
people felt so resonate to the journey that
yeah.
I personally have experienced,
Mhm.
including my clients too. And that's
Yeah.
how I think motivate me and my team continue going and creating better and better program, better and better experience for them.
I love that. So I've got a story which I remembered. My good friend shared this story, and he said, reached out to him and said, hey, dude, I've been listening to your content for the past 9 months. I've been listening to
Mhm.
your podcast. I've been consuming all the blogs, all the interviews that you're doing. And I wanted to reach out to you and thank you because I just made my first $1 million.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And my friend was like, oh my God, I've never cried or shed a tear on anything, but that really took me back, because all we have to do is share what we've learned, share what we know. And if people do put those things into play,
Practice.
into practice, they will see the results.
Absolutely. And it's tied back to what you said earlier, adding value without the
Mhm.
intention of, oh, I have to convert this like contacts to
Right.
buyers, right? Or
Yes.
being a product pusher, but
Yeah.
it's more like I invited you to work with me with love because I know this
Mhm.
work. And if you would like to be my clients, please feel free. But it's an invitation rather than
Yeah.
a product pusher, and
Yeah.
it's you continuously adding value, and that's how the word of mouth, how your business is going to thrive when it comes to that.
I love that so much, and I love all the things that we're talking about, because we are of like-minded, and we're going to be talking about whatever's in our minds, or it's almost like you're reading my mind and telling the story. But
True.
it comes with the territory when you hang out with the same people with a positive mindset, with the growth mindset, with keep going forward and bringing value to our audience. And the podcasting has done that exactly for me, because it's been so much fun creating this content, so much fun having conversations
That's
with guests
amazing.
like yourself.
Yeah, and I learned so much through these conversations as well, so I appreciate the opportunity. And me myself started a podcast, but guilty as charged, because It's just there's so much different channels that
Mm.
companies focusing. And then I think half a year ago, I was telling my whole team, I was like, I really want to dive deeper into the quality in terms of
The
quantity.
quantity, yeah.
And I scale all the way back because we did YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, obviously my main channel, Instagram, and then also podcasts. And I felt like my whole team is a little bit burnout during those periods when we're like
Yeah.
distribute madness. Although we do see a dip in our website traffic, everything else, that's just how it is normal is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But equally, I see the sales conversion went down just because the quality of the content doesn't really as high quality or resonating with our audience. So I scale
Yeah.
all the way back.
Nice.
So to this point, like I do want later on to bring back my podcast, but I'm so glad you find your channel, your hero channel, to be able
Yeah.
to connect with your audience and continuously doing it in a very consistent manner.
Thank you, Salina. That means a lot because just like yourself, I keep thinking to myself, okay, which other channels do I need to post on? Do I need to go to Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, TikTok? And yes, in the beginning, I had a system set up with repurpose.io where it would automatically grab the audio, slap a little image on top of it, and post it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really doing anything for me or for building audience. There's no subscribers for that channel. But the more I think about it, the more I want to come back to this format because I like to have a one-on-one conversation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that love to do the live stream and then talking to the audience in the comments and reading the comments, which is a lot of fun, absolutely. But I like to really have a deep conversation with my guests. And so I might eventually get to that level where I can also live stream, but from my expertise, this is the max that I've gone so far.
Yeah. And I like that you're very conscious about it. Like I was reading something really interesting the other day, the hierarchy of competence. And a lot of like wannabe entrepreneur, they started with unconsciously incompetent, right? That's just how it is. Like the first step when you put out your first video, your first like podcast, right? A podcast show, your first post on LinkedIn might flop, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just the first time you did it. And I saw one of your posts the other day on LinkedIn talking about with the arrow, your very first video all the way to the very final one. It's going to perfect your own sort of like content along the way, right? And then you continue extend to become consciously competent. That's what everyone's is going to go in the next step when it comes to the level. And I really resonate with it. The more that I built my businesses, it's just sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And when you do realize the weaknesses or blind spot that you have in your business, then you do whatever it takes to be better at it. And I love that you share, now I know my capacity and I'm just going to continue doubling down on doing this really well. I think Gary Vee is a really perfect example when it comes to that, right? Because everyone, when they look at him, I was like, documenting things. He's everywhere in the platform. Like the guy posted 5 times or 4 times average every single day. Like who have the capacity as a solopreneur? Maybe you have a VA or maybe 2 more team members or full-time, 5 people person. Still cannot distribute like he do.
No.
And a lot of people don't see it because he had built that system over the years, a course of 8 or 12 years, perfect his whole trade, right? He started with YouTube and that's all he does. And he just continued being better and better. So we need to be consciously thinking about our own capacity so that we can be better at our own trade before moving to the next platform.
Dude, that encourages me so much more because when you mentioned Gary Vee, he's the reason I started a podcast. He told me, dude, just go out and document your journey.
Love it.
I'm like, what do you mean by that? Document my journey. So I'm like, okay, I just finished taking my beekeeping course, 8-week course. I'm about to get my bees. Maybe I can document the journey around the bees. So I started talking about bees and talking about the queen bee and the worker bees and the drones
so
and all the different types of things that they do and how it's ingrained in their DNA.
Yeah.
But I was just talking to myself. I was not marketing. I was just documenting the journey. And the more I did it, the more I started to see the path that I was going on. The more I was like, wait, I'm sure there's other crazy people like myself talking to themselves on the podcast. Let me see if I can bring other people on the show and talk to them and learn their stories. And that's where the interview series started. And I haven't stopped because it gives me so much joy learning from other people and be able to translate that and implement that in my own life and in my own day-to-day aspect. Now,
Yeah.
when you mentioned how Gary Vee is so good at posting, here's what he does not do. He does not think about what this post is going to do. He doesn't think. This is what I'm thinking, post it. This is what I'm thinking, post it. It's like having a conversation with the internet as
Yeah.
another person. And
Yeah.
the problem with all of us, you probably feel the same as I do. Oh my God, I'm thinking about this post. I don't know what people are going to think. Should I post it now? Should I post it a little later? Like we were looking at all of these stats and statistics, blah, 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 doing that analysis paralysis in our heads and just going insane. And
Yeah.
guess what? By the end of the day, you still didn't post that you wanted to post it.
Yeah. Yeah. You eliminate all those like worries.
Exactly. You eliminate those things, set yourself free, and just post whatever comes to your mind. And then you'll realize how often you're posting and how often people are engaging with you. Because if you think about it, how fast these feeds are going now, I don't know these numbers, how these numbers are, but LinkedIn organic reach was 24 hours a few years ago.
Yeah.
That number has reduced now because a lot more people are posting on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So that means that you got to post more often so that your post is seen. Now, it doesn't mean anything at all because as long as your heart is in it, it's going to bring you value back. It's going to bring value to the listener. It's going to bring value to whoever's reading. And yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, of course. And I resonate with you so much about ramping up the frequency. Of course, the more that you post, you're going to reach more eyeballs. It's just normal
It's just
social media.
numbers.
Yeah, it's just numbers and
Yeah.
normal social media algorithm. But it's also tied back to, I think each platform have its own small differences, but I
Yeah.
still think the trust score each of the platform has. Like for instance, if out of the ratio you have 10,000 followers, you have 5,000 of them are very actively consuming your content, that platform automatically is going to push your content to your audience more. Yes, in a way, frequency is really important. And to your point, in being intention and strategic with what you put out there without thinking too much.
Without thinking too much, exactly.
Taking out the worries, that still helps you. So don't like think about next day, okay, after listening to me and Janae, I'm going to post every day or twice per week.
Yeah.
Ramp it up. Make it
You
like
gotta
a
ramp it up.
3-month
Yeah.
goal, right? Like
Yes.
first month, do it like once a week. Next month, twice a week. And then by the time your third month, you will perfect your trade way more easier. You have your own system. You can be able to ramp up as much as you like, but you do have to start.
You have to start, and what you just described here is almost like a training program at the gym.
Yes.
Nobody starts lifting 100 pounds. You start low. So the same structure applies to everything in your life. Anything you want to start, you got to start slow. Make sure you make it stick. And then as the momentum builds up, guess what? It's so much easier to do
100%.
that.
Yeah.
Salina, this has been so much fun talking with you about all of these things that enable us to show up as ourselves on the internet, on the web, on these different platforms. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. Let's take a quick break. And when we get back, Salina is going to share 3 hacks to take away. So stick around. We'll be right back. I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes They'll reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. All right, guys, we've been talking with Salina Yeung. It's been so much fun, and you've probably heard the laughter and all the fun things that we talked about in the first half of the episode. Thank you for sticking around. Salina's got 3 hacks for you to really maximize your presence on LinkedIn. Salina, take it away.
Yeah, so I want to share my proprietary framework when it comes to using LinkedIn for business. And if you are really willing to put in the work and dive into these 3 facets, you will be able to definitely sign clients consistently on LinkedIn. The very first one, me and Janae already talked about it earlier, is building a personal brand. But when I talk about this, is really meaning to build a follow-worthy personal brand that comes instantly. It's just 8 seconds, in fact. 8 seconds is all you have with someone's attention span nowadays. And 8 seconds, they know exactly who you are, who is your target audience, whether it's resonate with them or not, and the how, right? Like how do you actually help them, the result and the transformation they needed. So that's the very first thing, is to have absolutely clarity and alignment with your personal brand messaging and align with your business offer, personal branding. Second, conversion content. I know a lot of people don't really understand this term, but let me break it into very simple, understandable like baby terms, right? But it's strategic, intentional content that truly builds demand for your business. A lot of people always think, when I need to create content, I need to create things that my audience like. It is true what is actually in for them, but sometimes people forgot about you have to sell your product. You need to talk about your product here and there as well, which in my content convergence system program, I teach the perfect healthy ratio for you when it comes to like how to create conversion content within your ecosystem, equally building demand for your service and your businesses. So having conversion content being part of your entire LinkedIn strategy is important. Last but not least, social selling. Me and Jen and I already talk about a lot of times building that connection. Relationship-based social selling is the way to go, right? Like when your clients are coming to you, what is the first thing that remind them of? What's that feelings, right? We talk about that. What's that connection? If you really take some time to build that connection with them, things are getting really easy. I like to say you're microwaving your audience rather than so slow cooking them, because you instantly build that trust. By the time they book a sales call with you or go into your sales page, they instantly already have a connection with you because you build that relationship-based social selling. And they see all your conversion content on LinkedIn. They see your story out there. They see you have a very powerful personal brand, that they trust you, and you have the eyeballs that is needed. It's easy for them to say yes to you by that time when you offer them, hey, this is my solution. So that's my 3 nuggets when it comes to using LinkedIn for business.
Dude, I love that so much. There's so much in there that I want to take apart and talk about, but we've already talked we've already talked a lot about it in the beginning of the episode. It's your personal brand, making sure the content that converts, and then make sure that as you're building those connections, selling socially, because when I buy an iPhone, guess who else wants to buy an iPhone? Everybody else wants to buy an iPhone because they've built that authority, they've built that brand, they've built it in such a way that it's not about what you're buying, it's about the experience that you get.
Absolutely.
in the book Oversubscribed, he talks about how the rumors came out for the Apple Watch back in 2015, and Samsung rushed and released their watch 2 weeks before the Apple Watch came out. They sold 800,000 units, and it was a flop because they didn't warm up the audience. They didn't ask the audience what they were looking for. They didn't ask the people why they would use it. So Apple started from that perspective and building that need and want and people wearing this device that you associated with. There's a ton of connections points. And then by the time, and you couldn't just buy the watch by itself. You had to go in store, try it on, and then they would let you buy it. So when you're building your personal brand, you're doing exactly that. You're sending those signals, you're putting out value, and you're creating that connection with the people. And Salina, thank you so much for those hacks. I love them. They are so powerful. And I know that is something that you teach in detail at the In Academy.
Absolutely. And I love that story that you just told me. I'm definitely going to read this book right now. Literally this weekend, it's put on my to-read list. And I love that story so very much.
Thank you so much. All right. Now it comes a time on asking questions that I love to ask my guests. Number one question: why do you podcast, and what has podcasting done for you?
Wow. Wait, can you ask the first part again? I'm
All right.
like still
How about
your story.
how about we can leave that question for the end, but the question was, why do you podcast, and what has podcasting done for you?
Okay, sounds good. But even I don't have an active podcast, would it be okay? Okay.
Yes, of course. You are guesting on podcasts.
Gotcha. Would you like me to answer now?
You can answer now or we can answer later, but let's jump into the fun questions, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Sorry.
Keep some pressure off.
I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm
Actually,
still thinking about the story that you told me. And I was like,
no, you're totally fine. All right. First question. What is the one hobby that you wish you got into?
Love this question. It's actually dancing. I know it sounds a little bit cringe, but one of my favorite movie is Shall We Dance? And when I watch it, I was like, oh, Richard Gere, obviously a very good looking guy.
Mhm.
And I resonate a lot with some of the things that he felt very in touch with. And one of the things is I wish I'm better with my movements. I was like better with my body. And I think dancing will be definitely one of the hobby I wish I can got into, but never too late.
It's never too late. You're absolutely right. Next up, what did you want to be when you were a child?
Fashion designer.
Nice. You want to go a little deeper why you wanted to be a fashion designer?
Yeah, I think it's the American top model, but because I was like watching the show and I was like, oh my gosh, these models are so high maintenance, always like making troubles. But I see the people behind the scene doing the real work. And I was like, I want to be like that. Like, I want to take control about what they wear, like a cool thing. And I study design in London because of that. And then I had to change to communications because I realized it's not what I want. It
was a nice pipe dream.
It is. I even started with working for like luxury fashion. I first started my first couple of jobs. I really loved the job, but it's a really toxic culture and it really doesn't resonate with the things that I believe and like supporting each other, supporting different women. There's just so much toxic things happening that I don't really feel I belong to the place.
That makes so much sense. All right, next up, what is your favorite movie or TV show?
Favorite movie, again, very cringe, but Home Alone.
That is an awesome movie. Come on.
I love it. I can still watch it every Christmas with my husband, which I forced him to watch it so many times. And I still like laugh out loud every time when I watch it. TV show, I would say Gilmore Girls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Have you heard of Zach King?
Zach Kane, no, tell me
He's
about
a magician on YouTube, and he did a version of Home Alone as well.
it.
So
No
go
way.
look that up. It's so funny.
I will for sure.
All right, next question. What movie would you choose if you got to play a character in it?
Love that. I would say, is it called Gretaka? I think I pronounce it
Gattaca.
incorrect. Yeah, sorry, Gattaca.
Mhm.
Gattaca, where the scene where even Hawks are like walking almost blind with
Yeah.
the girlfriend that
Uh-huh.
he really wanted to basically chase.
Yeah.
And I want to be that girlfriend, that very very moment, and tell him just don't do
Mm,
that, and I
yeah.
love you for who you are, although like he's in a society that he's like genetically inferior, and I was like,
You're
I love
right,
you
because he was
however you
natural
are.
born.
Yeah, I love that movie.
That was so good. All right. Next question. Who is your favorite superhero?
Ooh, you might hate me for this, but I
Okay.
don't have one, but I would say the superpower that I really want to possess is mind reading. I think when I
It's like
watch.
Professor X.
Oh yes, Professor X. Okay, there you go. I
Mhm.
was thinking about like Mel Gibson at
Mm.
What Women's
What
Want.
woman?
Not because my husband don't know what I want.
Sure.
Just put it out there, but it's more. I think it's so great to know what the other person think and tell them,
Mhm.
hey, just let's be real. Exactly what's going to your mind? And I think I would
Yeah.
be such a perfect, 100% perfect salesperson when I know what the other person through the Zoom telling you like, oh my gosh, your solution is way too good. Please charge me more. And then
You know what's beautiful? My friend Jonathan Stark, he
uh-huh.
talks about how asking the question to your client and actually try to disqualify them more than qualifying them. Because
Mm,
when you try to disqualify them and say, I really cannot help you, but then because they know of your expertise, they're like, no, you are the one. So
love it.
they're
It's like
convincing
reverse
themselves.
self psychology. I love it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like attraction self psychology, but you tell
Mhm.
them, no, this is not what I can do for you.
Right.
That's not
Yeah.
what solution is all about. But they still think you will
They
be the
still think
solution of the
because
problem.
they convince themselves that no, this is it. This is
I
what we
love it.
want.
And that's the most powerful ways to convert.
Yeah, it is. Awesome. Last question. If you were a board game, what would it be?
Oh my goodness, this is so good. How do you come up with all these questions? Okay, I would say it's an old game. I don't think a
Mhm.
lot of people play it. It's called Risk.
No, a lot of people still play Risk. Yes, it's
Really?
a very
Okay,
lovely
good.
game.
Because
Yeah.
I was like introducing to a couple of my friends, and they're like, I
Mhm.
never heard about this. And I was like, okay.
I guess I have older audience or
I mean,
older people at
we
that.
talk about this.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I would say Risk. It's like one of my favorite games. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you. All right, last question. Where can the superpreneurs listening here find you?
Love that question. Superpreneurs, you can find me on LinkedIn, obviously. That's how me and Janae connected. And Instagram, I'm Salina Yeung. But if you do want to snack some of the things that we talk about, those juicy tips that we share using LinkedIn for business, you can go to my website, www.theinacademy.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Selena. We'll be sure to include the links in the show notes so folks can get to them real quickly. All
Thank
right.
you so much for having
Thank you
me,
so
Janae.
much for your time, for your energy, for your wisdom. You still have to answer that last question. Why do you guest as a podcast and what has it done for you?
Guest of the podcast because I'm really connected with what you do. I love the mission. And I think you're those that just give the perfect example or blueprint of how someone prioritizes relationship, friendship, and superpreneurship over everything. So I would say this is why. And second question.
What has it done for you?
Oh, what it has done for me. I've been on quite a lot of podcast show, and I think not just the exposure, but it's really I enjoy so much from learning from the other person because
Mm,
sometimes like for all of you listening to us, for the listeners, you love the unexpected coming out from a podcast show. And sometimes you never really realize, because when you're on a video or recording yourself, you can always cut those pieces out. But when you're on someone's podcast show as a guest speaker, you will surprise yourself of things that you said. You really, and at the same time, things that you said, maybe you don't like, but you discover something about yourself. And I think those are the moments that I truly appreciate. And also, obviously, the person that is hosting the podcast show giving you that opportunity to share your stories.
Salina, thank you so much. That was really beautiful. And that's something that I've discovered for myself too. Like when I'm a guest on other people's podcasts, like the things that I say, I don't know where they come from, but they're like so remarkable. I was like, wait, I just said that's really,
it's really creepy. And you're like, because you will for sure listening back. And I was like, wait, is that the same me? That's amazing. And then like, also there's like places there is like, I can actually talk about that area way better. But with practice, we talk about like the consistency of doing things over and over again, you become better and better.
Yes, we do. Thank you again, Salina, for giving that extra answer. That's actually a new question that I've just came up with today.
What is it?
The one that you just answered, why you podcast and what it's done for you. So that's a new question that I've introduced just today. So you've answered it and one other person. And I just wanted to understand how podcasting can help other entrepreneurs really bring out what's inside of them, because you have somebody else taking you along this journey. So thank you so much. And I believe that's the end of it. You're back.
Is it me? I think it's my internet. Is it?
No problem. We did wrap. I was just saying that it was really cool in that you got to answer that question, and it's a new one, and I love what is done for other people and how guest podcasting is so easy that everybody should be doing that to promote their business and to build their own personal brand. So thank you so much, Salina.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity and having me again in your wonderful podcast.
All right, see you next time.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to Hacks and Hobbies. You can find additional information on the guest today on their website, hacksandhobbies.com. Please feel free to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on upcoming interviews with amazing guests.